So I sold my truck. I think
Come on. Come
you
on.
know that. I sold my truck and I used that money. If my kids will benefit from this sacrifice, it's a no-brainer.
Come
So
on.
sold the truck, bought the course, and got locked in.
Welcome back to New to Medical Device Sales. I am your host, Jacob McLaughlin, and today I am so honored to not only have an absolute stud on today's podcast, but an absolute great human being that has turned into a great friend. Today, I'm going to give you guys the pleasure of bringing you Nathan Freeman, who is 27 years old, who is in prison ministry and was able to break into medical device sales as a full line sales rep, which is absolutely amazing. You won't meet a better guy, and you're going to have a heck of an accent that you're going to listen here. So, Nathan, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks, brother.
It is so much fun to have you. I'm just going from our original conversations. Now being able to bring you on, it is so much fun. It's cool to see how God works, how you're even here right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, just want to say welcome and would love for you to just introduce yourself a little bit about who you are, some of your background, so people can really get to know who's Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it. The honor to be here. It's been a long time coming, and we've worked hard to get here, but this is a full circle moment. I'm Nathan Freeman, 27 years old, from Greensboro, North Carolina. Been with my company now for about 3 weeks, so super fresh, drinking from a fire hose and learning a bunch, and driving across the territory and the state and meeting accounts. So it is everything I hoped it would be and more. My background is unique. I spent 2 years in full time prison ministry. Before that, I did 3 years as a private school admissions recruiter. Did not grow up with a family around healthcare.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, my family avoided the doctor kind of like the plague. It was like healthcare was not a priority to us. I mean, there were many years without healthcare,
Mhm.
without health insurance. So going to the doctor, especially hospitals, was not something I'm used to. And we can go more in depth on Scarlett,
Yeah.
my wife's background, and kind of what led her to her journey. But yeah, so did not have a lot of exposure to the healthcare industry, to med device. So when I got exposed to this, I found you on YouTube. My wife, was like, "You have to check this guy out." It felt like I was being exposed to a whole new world, and it was
Mhm.
just so exciting. And I thought a lot of my skills were translatable into this world. So here I am, 10 weeks of an absolute grind, and now here I am, brother.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to absolutely see. And like you said, 10 weeks able to get in, coming in as a full line rep, and absolutely crushed it. And we're going to talk more about his story. But one thing I want to just touch base because this is why I love doing what we do. And like, I think sometimes people may watch my stuff and they'll be like, well, Jacob, you did this a long time ago and maybe you don't remember. And it's like, no, I remember
Mhm.
exactly the moment of talking to the person at the gym who told me what medical device sales was. And I was like, what is this? Tell me more. And then going to YouTube and trying to find it and found out there was nothing on YouTube, hence why welcome to my face. And I just remember being like, what is this? And then learning, like you said, you uncover a massive new world that's like,
Yep.
you can do this. You
Yep.
can you can help people and get paid a lot of money and do good
Yeah.
in this world. What? And then it's like, and I already have what they are looking for. Now, here's the thing I'll tell you all. You don't have the background they're looking for, but we're going to dive more into your story. But like
Yeah.
going into recruiting at a private school and then going into prison ministry and saving lives and all that stuff, like pretty sure there's some good cold calls. There's some good people relationship skills that
Yeah.
we're going to be able to dive deeper into. But yeah, so I just want you guys to know it's the best and always reminds me when we get a talk like this and you're so fresh and you're doing it. I like remember drinking from the fire hose and having my literal head hurt because I'm like, I don't think I can take another piece of content or another piece of
Yeah.
information in right now because my head hurts and it's been too many hours of this. But you're going to learn so much. And I hope you guys are ready to just hear a great human being and just hear someone who has a great story. But also, what I really want to shed some light on real quick that you have an absolute stud of a wife. And
I do.
I just want you to brag on her for a second, man. Even how you found her found us. Not how you found her. Yeah, this is not a dating show. So, but like, just want you to talk about a little bit about your wife, real quick.
Yeah, my wife, she is a stud. She's amazing, and killing it. She grew up around healthcare. Her aunt and uncle are both physicians. Her mother's been in healthcare for 20 years. Was a former farmer rep, P Club. Like just she comes from a long line of people that excel. And when I met her, 5, 6 years ago, she told me point blank, like, I want to be in med device sales. And I was like, okay, cool. Like that's I didn't really even know what that was, but I was like, good for you. And so she went the traditional B2B sales route. So she went and worked for ADP and then, jumped over to another payroll, software as a service company, did that for 2 years, 3 years, and then was like, okay, now it's time. I have the background. I'm going to jump over. And then that's when she found you on YouTube and she was consuming your content, really kind of refining her interview approach, brag book, all the good stuff for that process. I really do mean this. Like, my wife's very impressive, and it still took her months and months and months and months to break in. And so that just goes to show. I'm going to plug New Medical Device a little bit. Like, when you have someone actually coaching you and mentoring you and saying, like, that's good, but have you thought about this? Or, let's tweak this over here a little bit. I think that you could bring this to light more. That made all the difference in the world for me. 10 weeks versus 10 months. But she got hired as a full line rep with her company and loves it. Her manager is one of the best men I've ever met. I mean, just a godly, good man, good leader, like truly a leader. So I think, I thank God for her journey that all of these other interviews didn't work out because she was supposed to be here working under him in this division. She's the one who said, Nathan, I think that you would really do well in what I do. And I was like, that's not really what I think I'm supposed to do, this, that, and the other. And the more I saw her growing, the more I saw her enjoy her work, I was like, not only can I see myself doing that, but I think I want to do that now. And I sent you a LinkedIn message. We talked on the phone, and now, here we are, bro.
And know what the best part is? I remember that call. I remember sitting in my old place that I lived at the kitchen dining table with you on speaker, talking to Scarlett as she's getting her job offers because she had multiple job offers.
She did.
We were discussing which one she should take, what makes the most sense. And that was before she even accepted it, that you and I were on a call with it. And just to see where you guys are at and how it all works out, it's truly incredible and awesome. So yeah, she's an absolute stud. And also I do just have to plug is like the best part was after Nathan got hired, literally 2 days later, I'm working out and I get a message from someone I already know in the industry, literally texts me and says, hey man, this is absolutely crazy. I'm here in North Carolina and you just helped one of the people I just met help their husband break into med device sales.
Yeah.
He's like, what the heck? And it's like, it's funny just to see how fast this world moves and how small it really is.
Truly.
But no, it really is. And so she's an absolute stud. I wanted to just give her a plug because she does deserve it, because she's also one of the main reasons you are here. Just having you here and getting to talk to her. So, and she was a massive support system. So just want to just give her a shout out. But now bringing it back to you, man. So you're doing private recruiting for schools and all that. And then you got into prison ministry. Like you said, you met her and then you were doing all this.
Yeah.
Now, what did that kind of look like for you in like prison ministry to be like, hey, I think med device sales is what I want to do? Because you kind of spoke about, she talked about, but go a little more deeper into that. And then number two, when did you know, or what made you actually be like, no, I'm ready to jump. I'm ready to get on a call with Jacob to do this? Because I think that's one of the things I always just want to put out there for everyone who's listening is what happens a lot of times is people hear things, they get really excited. But what I always have to tell people is the difference. And it's why I was so proud of you when we got on a call is I can just sit here and tell you, my friends, there's a difference between high performers and people who don't perform. And I'll tell you what it is. It's procrastination. It's people who they're like, no, I have to go consume every piece of content. I have to do this. I need to play 30,000 scenarios that are never going to happen out in my head. I need to do, and then they just stay stuck compared to, hey, I'm just going to get on a call. So, and why I want you guys to hear me, they talk about the thing with like just talking about business. And this is going to go helpful to you guys in med device sales, right? In business, they talk about most people want to save some cash and will like save cash over a couple of months. And so they end up still paying the same amount of money over 3 months instead of they did all of it in 1 month. But what they just lost was the 2 extra months, right? And so by the time that person gets to month 3 and they spent the same amount of money, they're like, oh, this doesn't work. We need to make a change, compared to that first person who spent all the money the first month, figured it all out that it didn't work. Now by month 3 has already changed the project and found out 7 different things that person that just figured it out month 3 didn't know. Because why?
Yep.
They got in, they failed, they figured out, they made changes, they did it. Because I can just sit here and tell you, and we talk about success all the time, if you think there's a perfect plan to success, throw it out the window. Because here's the best part, especially med device sales, but even business, as someone who runs multiple businesses now, is you're going to go and do, hey, I did this, this, and this, and something's going to happen. You're going to be like, I didn't factor that thing I had no idea about. And then it changes everything. So just want to put that out there, but I would love for you to go into more detail, Nathan, just for yourself, of like, hey, you were doing prison ministry. Kind of what was that like, A? And then like what got you to the point where I'm like, hey, I think med device sales is it. And I think I'm ready to actually just learn more about it.
Well, before I answer that, I need to go back to kind of give you a more full picture of what got me into prison ministry.
Yeah.
And that was what got me into recruiting. So I went to military school, a private military school, from 8th grade until I graduated high school. Graduated as the battalion commander, which really just means I was in leadership, but I had some great relationships with some great mentors there. Went to college and thought, okay, I'm either going to commission into the military or I'm going to go to law school. That's like what I was thinking I was going to do. Towards the end of college, I got saved. I became a Christian. Upended my whole life. I mean, my whole life got switched around, and I was like, my affections changed. The things that I thought that I wanted were different. So when I graduated college, I went straight to Ethiopia, and I lived there by myself for several months doing some church planting efforts and some evangelism over there. I get back from Ethiopia, and one of my mentors calls me and says, hey, the school is about to close down. I was like, what are you talking about? It's the oldest pre-college military academy in the United States. It's 172 years old.
Wow.
And they were like, it's about to close down. And I was like, well, I was there 4.5 years ago. What's the deal? Just different leadership had come in, different things had happened, and enrollment was plummeting. So I threw a suit on, drove to campus that day, knocked on the headmaster's door, and I was like, you need to hire me as the admissions guy because I am the product. I came here at 13 years old as a little boy, and I left as a man at 18. I will sell myself. And so I spent 3 years there and tripled enrollment. And it was fantastic. Loved it. Helped a lot of people, a lot of kids got exposed to some great mentors and leadership because of this effort. So thankful for that. So I knew I had the ability to relate and to provide value. I knew that even though it wasn't in your typical B2B sales, I knew like you give me a product I believe in and someone that has a need, and I'll give it to them to the best of my abilities. I'll sell them on that. But that was also during COVID. And so Scarlett this is before she broke in. So she is doing payroll and everything had changed to remote work. And it was just a hard time. It was a hard season. We were living in an apartment and we were like, okay, COVID's here. The world's kind of shut down. We want to move closer to family. Yeah. And so we moved to the Raleigh area, and I was commuting 2 hours each way to work. And I told my boss, I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is killing me. I mean, 2 hours every day, each way.
That's so much, man. I just literally had this talk with my girlfriend, and we were like, can you imagine being in traffic for an hour or two a day? And you're driving 2 hours all the way, one in there. So 4 hours your day is there.
Yeah, I mean, I was leaving the house at 5:30 and getting home at about 8:30. So it was rough, and wear and tear on the car, and it was just a lot. So I started looking on LinkedIn, on Indeed, and Scarlett said, "Hey, there's a prison ministry job in Raleigh. It's a field director, so you would pretty much be the territory manager. I think you should pray about this and check it out." So I prayed about it, did some research, and I was like, I think that's what I'm supposed to do. You just know when you're led. When you're led. So I applied and got the job, which I was like the youngest field director in the company's history. They hire a lot of more mature, seasoned guys, but I was like, listen, you tell me what my guardrails are, my left and right limits, and I'll go run. Like, that's all I need is the right development, the right coaching, and I'll go run for you. And so I did that for 2 years, loved it. I mean, I was in prison doing full-time ministry in some, some heavy places, and
Yeah.
wouldn't trade it for the world because there are a lot of translatable skills there.
Yeah,
I
of course.
need I need to have a good relationship with that front desk worker to get back and talk to the decision maker. Is that no different from a hospital? It's a different environment, but it's the
Come on.
culture is very similar.
Yep. Come
And
on.
so I knew I've thrived here. The nonprofit salary was a little tough. That's all I'm going to say about that. It was a little tough. And there's different kinds of rewards, but at the same time, the older I get, and as a husband, as I'm family planning with my wife, the vision that I have for my family is I would like my kids to be in Christian school. I would like to have investments. I would like to provide for my family
Yep.
in a way that I did not have growing up.
Yep.
And I knew that it was actually impossible with the salary that I was on. Like, for all the good that I was doing, my first priority is to my family.
Yep.
And so that started stirring up in me as well as Scarlett's interviewing and breaking in. So it was all happening at the same time.
Yep.
And then she broke in and was like, hey, look at Jacob's stuff. So I started watching you on YouTube for probably 2 months before I ever reached out to you. And I saw you talking about, the course, but honestly, I was still on a nonprofit salary. Scarlett had just broken in, so like we were starting to, get some money tucked away, but it was slow coming in. So I sold my truck. I think
Come on. Come
you
on.
know that. I sold my truck, and I used that money, put some in the bank, and put the rest towards the course. Scarlett got a company vehicle when she became a territory manager. So I was like, do I need this truck? No, it's a want. I'm an outdoorsman. I like being out in the woods, but I was like, this is a want. And if I'll sacrifice this want and drive the car that she's been driving, if my kids will benefit from this sacrifice, it's a no-brainer. So sold the truck, bought the course, and got locked in. So yeah, that's when I knew, okay, I'm exposed to med device through my wife. I'm exposed to you from her saying, check out his YouTube. And then through your YouTube content, it was like, okay, the course, what's that going to offer? Did some digging on that. We talked on the phone, and you were like, hey, boop, 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 boop. Here's kind of why the course is such a value add to you. And it was a no-brainer. Once I signed up, I was like, here we go.
Dude, and then the one thing I just want to say is a couple things real quick. Number one, I want to touch base on you doing something for you and your future family. And I want to just say this because I talk to so many people, and I want people who are listening to this to hear that's a lot of the people that come to me, and that was me. And I sit here and tell you, I always will sit here and always be vulnerable with you guys, but it's like, if you guys go back and watch the videos, I had no money. Why? Because I came from no money. We were broke. Like, I have family members who still live off welfare that I still go help support. Like, there's things like that. But the reason I'm sitting here telling you guys, just to dive a little deeper for everybody, it is crazy to me in this world when you want something better for your life and you don't want to live in that life. You don't want to, where I come from, bunch of people live in trailers and all this stuff. And hey, you want to live that life? Go live your life. That just wasn't what I wanted. And the reason I'm saying that is don't let other people demonize you wanting a better life. Don't let people actually tear you down because you want to drive a nice car. You want to have trips. Like I tell people, I knew driving my Buick Lucerne that was breaking down when I had $3,000. I was like, one day I want to be able to fly across the world and go to Europe. One day I want to be able to have a nice, beautiful house that I can have for me and my family. I want to drive a new truck, not a 20-year-old truck that I'm taking in every single month to the place that's
yes, sir.
And so I just want to put that out there for everybody because I know a lot of the human beings that are listening to this right now, that's where you're at. You probably are getting some resistance. You're probably wanting a better life for you. And I just want this to be said. If it's med device sales, not med device sales, has nothing to do with that for me. It's just don't let other people tear you down for wanting a better life and knowing that you want to go. One thing I just want to say, I also just heard this quote, and I forget who said it, but I heard it yesterday. But the quote was, water at your house, it's $1. You go to the gym, it's $2. You go to the airport, it's $4. You go in a plane, it's $7. The bottle of water didn't change, just the environment did. And so what it was talking about is if people don't see your current value where you're currently at, it's not that you don't have the value that you think you have, it's you're in the wrong environment. I always get vulnerable with you guys because when I hear what Nathan just said, I know on the back end, there's so many human beings that are trying to pull themselves out from being under 50K a year, under 80K a year, but that's all they've ever known. Their family's known. And then they get pulled out when they say they want to do something. And then guess what? Oh, you want to make $100,000? You're a horrible person. Oh, you want to make 400 grand? You must be the demon. You must be the devil. You must have bad stuff. Oh, rich people aren't happy. Right? I can give you guys all the different terms that poor people use. Money won't make you happy. No, I know a lot of rich people who are mean, whatever it is, because they couldn't get there. And I just want to put that out to whoever's listening. Don't let that come to you. Because if you have something on your heart that you're like, I think I'm meant for more, let me just sit here and tell you why we're both sitting on this podcast is we both believed we were meant for more.
Amen.
We weren't put on the earth to just be like, oh, twiddle my thumbs and hope it works out. It was, no, that God's put stuff on my heart to keep running after. And I'm going to keep chasing after. And it may not, I might be here for a couple of years and it might change. He might change everything. But just understand that I want somebody to hear that. Number two, what I really want to hear, I remember getting on that first call with Nathan and Scarlett. And I remember talking with Nathan and just his commitment. And I want you all to hear is like, we've helped so many people and it's amazing, but we just don't take anybody. Just because someone's like, oh, give me here, take money. I don't take those people because I want to work with amazing human beings, which you guys get to see on these podcasts every single day. And I'm so thankful for. But what I do want to say is what made me so happy to be like, yeah, I'll work with you, Nathan, is when he sat there and said exactly what you just heard, is he was willing to give up the short term for the long term. I don't get to have my truck that I want right now, but I had it and I've experienced it and I love it, but I can give it back because I know coming here, well, I can invest in it and it's going to return me the investment so I can eventually go buy another bigger truck, right? And that's what I want people to think about is that's what I always say the difference between poor people and rich people. Poor people think emotionally, rich people think logically. I can imagine emotionally it sucked to sell that truck that you loved, but logically it made sense to go do it so you could go invest in yourself to now you and your wife are doing great. And here in the future, you probably can go get another truck or 2 trucks if you want, right? Yep. And so I want people to just really hear that. And then I do want to kind of dive into is it took you 10 weeks to get in, but what you guys will be hearing is they're like, well, I thought it's taken this in the timeline. Nathan came in and then he had life happen. Yep. That's what I tell you guys about why I run my program so different than anything. It's not just like, hey, get in, kick you out, see you later. It's you're talking to a guy who had a buddy call him and he's like, hey, I got brain cancer. And 2 months later, he was gone. The reason I say that is every time I'm like, I couldn't have planned that. And I just want you guys to know everybody I ever work with, that's how I look at it. I don't know what's going on in their life, but I know if something does go on in their life, we'll work it out. We'll make sure that we're there to support them and do it. So I just want you guys to hear that because Nathan got in and man, when it rains, it pours. Yeah. And you got in, man, and it rained and you had a lot of hail. And I think there's a couple tornadoes in the background going places too. But then when you got yourself back to where you needed to and you're like, hey, I'm finally ready. I can do it. Literally 10 weeks. It was just like, hey, day one, let's do this. Bam. 10 weeks from that to a full line rep. I just want to call you out and just say how proud I am and how impressed I am of you. But I just want people to hear that because that's a guy who did what he knew was right, that he felt he trusted, and he still got hit with everything in the ringer. I just wanted to put that out there and kind of have you talk about that for a second because I think
100%.
I think everybody thinks when you go make a big decision in life that it's supposed to be sunshine and rainbows. And I can only just guarantee you guys normally when you take a big decision, usually within the first week or 2, you're going to get punched in the face.
Facts.
So I just want you to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, you're being vulnerable, so I'll be vulnerable. That's just who I am. You know me. So Scarlett broke in and I knew the earning capacity that she was stepping into. And so I sold the truck, signed up for the course, and I was going along with that. But to be honest with you, even though I was willing to do the sacrifice of selling the truck, and that was painful, but my heart was not 100% committed. And the truth is, to do this, you better be 100% committed. Like, if you're not, you will not break in. Or if you do break in, it won't be in 10 weeks.
No.
And it might be a year. It might be 2 years. Or it might be never. I talked to somebody, it took them 5 years to break in. And I'm like, ooh, man.
And a lot of
So,
times they're not even getting jobs that they want. They're just getting the only job that finally said yes to them.
yep. I was having some personal things pop up where, I went to military school, graduated, top of my class, all that, I have some impressive awards as if that means anything. But for some reason at 26, when I signed up for the course and I was doing that and networking for several weeks, I was having an identity crisis. I really was, where I was like, who am I? Because I had tied so long who I was to what I did. Um, and so I was like, well, I want to follow my lifelong dream of going to be a special forces soldier. That's all I wanted to do since I was 6 years old. I mean, that was it. That's it. And some of the guys I looked up to most in the world, they had walked that path, and I wanted that. And so my wife and I were praying about that and discussing that, and I was having to kill an idol. And that's exactly what it was. Is it was an idol that I had allowed to grow in my life, where I couldn't imagine my life without it. Without that. But I mean, I took a year off of trying to break in. Signed up, did it for a month, and 6 weeks, networked, had some great traction, and then I was like, no, I think I need to do something else because it's my identity. And I think that God, in His providence and in His sovereignty and in His love for me, was like, ooh, we got to work on that before I'm going to bless you over here. So he took me around the mountain for a year and was just crushing me in love, crushing me. July 15th is when I reset my first rep again. So I took 10 months off, and I woke up one day and I prayed and I said, okay, God, you have changed my affections. You have changed my mind. I now view providing and protecting and caring for my family as the highest honor and obligation that you have given me. Not that I didn't believe that earlier, but now I believed it in my soul, like in my heart, where I was like, no, that's my mission. That's my identity.
Yeah.
And also God during that time had really taught me, no, son, your identity is in me. And that is now freeing me to do this job even better, because my identity is not tied to a quota and it's not tied to a sale. It's tied to the King. It's tied to Jesus Christ, who is the Lord of all. And because that's my identity, success is going to overflow from that, because I am confident in who I am naturally.
Yep.
So I started reaching back out to reps July 15th. And I told myself 5 hours a day is what I'm going to do. I said, and that might be excessive for some people, and I get it. Some people are already nurses and they don't have 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
I was blessed to have a job where I had a lot of autonomy, a lot of flexibility. As long as I was handling my business, I could condense my afternoons or condense my mornings. And so 5 hours a day, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, I was on LinkedIn. I think I added 800 reps. I think I spoke to like 130 of them on the phone, and not all of them were great. Honestly, I mean, a lot of them were.
Majority of them normally aren't great. They're just checking boxes and be like, what do you want? And what can I help you with? And then they're going to go tell their friends. They do it 100%. They're going to be like, well, what do you want? But just so you guys know, that's a power hungry. They want to do their stuff. And then it's like, oh, I need to feel important. All that good stuff.
Yeah. And so I think out of the 130 reps I talked to, I think that there were 20 of them where I was like, not only like I still keep up with them now that I'm in. So I'm just like, hey, how are you doing? Because they were that good to me. And then there were probably 15 more where they were helpful, but they're not ones that I'm going to follow up with forever. Follow-up's vital. Even if we did not have a great conversation, I always followed up every time, no matter what, because I don't know who they know and I don't know who they have influence with. So I did that, and that's when I called you and I said, hey, brother, I'm back and I'm ready to rock and roll and I'm in it. What do I need to do? And you were like, brother, here's what I would do. I would X, Y, Z, go execute. And we did
it. You went it. And then the next thing I know, here he is, right? Like I just always like to do that. And just so you guys know, that's a joke. I do have proper grammar. I just like to do some stuff, but I'll just say trailer park. No, man. And that's why I'm so proud of you. And that's why I want people to really know who you are and see your story. Because again, I think everybody thinks it's like, oh, but like, just so you guys know, I'll never forget when I had to break up with being a personal trainer. That's my life. I remember the first one was basketball. I remember going to college and playing basketball. And like, if any athletes out there, your life is that sport. And then what we see so many times, just so you guys can see it, is there's a lot of people who never break up with that. What are you talking about, Jacob? The 52-year-old who still playing pickup ball like it's the NBA, and he never was able to make it to the NBA, but he treats it and then he gets in fights at the Y leagues. Like, the reason I'm just saying that is there's people who never break up with that relationship, but I had to break up with that relationship and that identity of, hey, my whole worth has been I'm Jacob McLaughlin, the basketball player, and that's actually what I was known for at my town, right? Then take that outside of it and then going into be like, okay, now I want to be in personal training. I want to be in fitness, did that. And then, I remember calling somebody. He was a mentor of mine. And he literally looked at me. I'll never forget, like, he FaceTimed me and he looked at me on the phone and he's like, you already know what you want to do. You already know the answer, but you're looking for somebody to give you permission to go do it. It's crazy to look back now after he just gave me that permission that I already knew I had. And like, I already wanted to do, but I just needed somebody that I respected to give me permission to go do it, to be where you're at. Right. And so I just want you guys to know that is like when he's talking about like, hey, identity, I bet a lot of you guys are going through that, guys and girls that are like, who am I? Well, I've always been known by A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Well, if I go make this change, what are they ABC going to say about me? But once you're able to be like that and you get to a point, just so you know exactly what Nathan's talking about, once you get to a point where you say it and you don't have that bad feeling in your stomach, you don't feel like a liar, you feel very confident when you say it, just so you guys know, that's when it's about to happen. That's when you're like, okay, you're stepping into it. And that's, again, some people, that's why we talk with people and we do a lot of maturing inside of our program is a lot of times we have to help people mature throughout this process to get there because it's like, hey, I want this. But like, again, going back to what we always say, you want to make $200,000. That's a person. That's a certain type. You have to get to a certain, you can't just say, I want to make 200 grand and make it. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. I wish it did. You have to become a certain version of yourself to be able to do that. And that's our big thing that I always like to talk to. So I just love that you went in detail and I appreciate you being vulnerable because I know that's going to be helping people because I just want you guys to know it's why I'm vulnerable. We live in med device world where everyone's a tough dude. Like I just posted the other day, we got someone hired and at 6 figures, it took them under 3 weeks. They're 23 years old. And all I get is a Stryker rep who's got 17 years in, who's the best med device rep that he had to put on his own LinkedIn talking trash to that post. That's who you're going into. And that's what everyone think is strong. And I'll just tell you there's nothing weaker because guess what? You want to know why people are douches? You want to know why people are mean? You want to know why people are rude? Because they are so insecure. That's the only thing that makes them feel better.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the thing I always appreciate is like, I always tell people, I love like lions. Like if you look at lions, a real lion is one that will go play with his cubs and do all this stuff and then absolute be a beast of the jungle. Right. Or be a beast out in the safari, right? The reason I'm just sitting here telling you guys that is that's what I think about compared to you are stepping into a world where take med device sales out. It's everywhere, but you're going to see it more in like med device sales, real estate, all the stuff where it's going to be all the insecure people who didn't get enough hugs from their mom and dad, or they didn't get treated a certain way. And now there's all the insecurities that they're trying to push onto you and tell you why you suck and why they're so much better than you. And that's what they're trying to get across. And just so you know, I put that out there because there's other people who need to hear it, but I need you guys to know what you're stepping into. And that's why you can watch me get vulnerable. And guess what? Somebody can go watch that and call me a big baby and all this stuff. And that's cool. I know who I am. I know whose I am. And I know where I'm going. And I ain't trying to get validation from any other people. And guess what? Welcome to why we keep having so much success. And once you get to that point, watch your life explode to my friends. Again, just so you guys know, I'm here to help you in med device sales, but my real goal is to help you all in life. And help you guys get to a whole nother point. So bringing it back to med device sales, man. So you decided it, you did that stuff. What did you learn the most when you're like 10 weeks? I'm finally committed. I'm going all in and I'm going to break into medical device sales. What are your biggest takeaways in those 10 weeks? Going to, especially not just getting in as an associate at $60,000. It's coming in as a full line rep into your new company.
Yeah. I think my error the first time I tried was I tried to be too robotic.
Yep.
I tried to tell them what they wanted to hear.
Yep. Trying to be them and then checking boxes that you're like, 100%. I did what you said. Let me check boxes. Yep.
This time I told myself, I'm going to be me. I'm going to highlight my skills, but I'm going to be me. And if it's not a right fit, I want to flesh that out early.
Yep.
And I want to be where I'm supposed to be. And so I also learned you better just start calling. Like it's in the numbers. when you think it's not going to happen, it literally just happens. And I heard 4 or 5 reps that were like, man, I was at the end of my rope and I thought this is going to take forever. I was hired 3 weeks later. This happened 4 weeks later. And I was like, okay, so I knew even though I don't see the light, it's there. I don't know it. I don't know when it's going to happen. But I learned consistent plotting, daily grinding is what I woke up one day and I was like, there's an offer letter in my inbox right now, and I'm about to make more money than I ever have in my entire life. And 2.5 months ago, I was like, okay, I'm about to dial the first rep. So I think I just learned how to be a more consistent man. How to manage my time better, but also, yeah, be personable, man. And we can go into depth on how I got to my company, but I reached out to a regional manager for Medtronic. He had been with Medtronic for 19 years. And this was in the cardiac space, which, as you know, that's a tough one.
Yep.
We talked for 45 minutes. And I mean, I hit him up, called him out of the blue. He was like, hello. I was like, hey, I'm Nathan Freeman. We talked for 45 minutes. Great dude. Ends up being a strong believer. I mean, at the end of that phone call, we're sending deer hunting pictures. We're talking, because we just related as guys.
Yep.
And he got to see so much of what I learned was just be a person.
Yeah.
Because they will teach you the product knowledge.
Yep.
But are you sociable? Can you have a conversation? Are you, not trying to be mean, but like, are you awkward? Do you fumble over your words? Are you articulate? Do you command a presence even on the phone? If you do, I'll teach you. I will refine you and tailor the rest.
Yep.
And so that's what I kind of ran with, was like, I'm going to be me. I use discernment to the best of my abilities between how raw to be and also how polished to be. And I think that you need to know who you can do what with. I talked to different people where I was like, all right, this is a dude that I can just be raw with and just talk. And he's been in the territory for 6 months. He knows what I'm going through. Or this person's been at this company for 14 years. Like, okay, time to put the hat on a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I talked to this Medtronic rep who was like, or manager. He said, Nathan, would love to hire you, man. We're a very small team. And unless somebody retires or moves, like, we have a 6-person team and everyone's been here for like a decade. 3 weeks later, I get a message in my inbox on LinkedIn from a recruiter that this guy had recommended me for. Medtronic manager. We hit it off, great relationship. Because he didn't have to, but because he appreciated our connection, he went out recruiting for me.
Yeah.
And got me in touch with this recruiter. And now here I am.
Dude, I just want you guys to all hear that is, again, going back to being a human being like we talk about. Mm-hmm. But one thing I want to sit here and tell you guys is that's the number one thing that I think I hear people say is, I have to be perfect. I have to be polished. No, you do not. Every company, that's even what we do in this program. I just need to know that you're all in, you're committed, and that you're willing to work on it. I can get you where you guys need to go. We've been able to do that with thousands of people. No different than, that's why a lot of these other things that you'll see is, oh, we do this, we do that, we teach you anatomy. Who cares? Because guess what? The company is going to teach you exactly what you need to know to be successful at that company, right? Because I always make the joke about, why do you care about the knee or the hip if you're like I was, and I was an OBGYN? You know what I mean? Like, we don't care about the knee when you're in the GYN space, right? So like, it's just being able to understand where you're going and what's it makes sense to be. So no, I absolutely love that, man. And we're going to have people reach out to you, Nathan. They're going to be like, man, this story touched me. There's so many like nuggets that you've just hit. And I think it's so much bigger than just med device sales. So that's why I loved and I was excited about getting on a call with you. But what I wanted to just ask is, you're going to have people who reach out and just say, hey, Nathan, what do I do? Whether I have sales experience, I don't have sales experience, what's your advice to somebody who's wanting to break into medical device sales?
My advice to somebody wanting to break into medical device sales is, as cliche as this is, so forgive me, but you better know your why.
Yep.
You better know your why. Because when you're waking up at 6 a.m. because you have work to do already, and if I don't get these messages out, I won't free up my afternoon for the calls I need to make. If you don't know your why, you'll hit the snooze button. and you'll procrastinate. So you need to know your why. And actually, your why is not my why, and my why is not his why.
Yep.
What is your why? Why? You need to flesh that out, and you need to examine that, and it needs to be solid enough to endure people telling you to go sell copiers and go sell payroll. You know, I had several reps that were like, yeah, I think you have some of the basic skills, but I think that you really need to go B2B. I heard that so many times.
Yep.
You had prepped me for that. So I was like, okay, in one ear, out the other,
Yeah.
whatever. But if you don't know your why, that's going to impact you differently.
Yep.
You'll start to believe them. You'll start to believe them. You know what? Maybe they're right. I've heard 15 reps say that. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong.
They're wrong.
They're wrong. And they want to be right because they didn't have the guts to go out here and do it the hard way themselves.
Bam. So that's what I want you guys to hear. You're 100%. I just have to touch base on that is you're going to get advice from people that you've never done this before. And then they're going to give you advice and you guys wanting to believe them, right? So for example, what I always just say, that's the equivalent of you want to be like, hey, I see you're there, but like you've never done it this way. Now I'm going to go ask you, and now you're going to give me some advice. It doesn't relate to me, right? That's what always made sense to me. I was a personal trainer. So why is someone at Copier Sales going to help me? Because just so you all know, at the time I was already training millionaires and I knew I had way more skills than the person working at, and no offense to anybody that's working this, but like I already knew I was better than the person working at payroll that company already came to them for. But I was being a personal trainer and I had to go get clients and then do such a good job and do all the work and had the interpersonal skills and all the stuff. I didn't need to have that. And then when people like go sell copiers, like, so I'm going to go sell a copier, stand in line, hate my life, and have somebody who was already going to come buy the copier. And now I get to put that on my resume to say I'm now qualified. I already knew I was qualified. So the reason I want you guys to hear that is like the last thing I would say to that is I always make a comment going back to, if you guys start hearing them, it's kind of like this. And hopefully you guys aren't in this position, but if you have, hopefully this hits home. But like, if you've ever been around a bunch of toxic people, you actually become extremely toxic. But then when you get out of the toxicity, you're like, holy shnikes, they're all insane. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, but you were part of it because you were in it, but you didn't know it because you were all. The reason I'm saying that, welcome to the med device space of go do B2B sales, do the sales, because you will not talk to another person besides if you're coming to our members, watching our podcast, showing everything, which you're like, we watch all your videos. I've never seen a video ever saying how much I like something or anything. You'll go to us and see hundreds. And then you'll see these podcasts that you're listening to that are 40 plus minutes each with the human being saying they did the exact thing that you're wanting to do. But then you're going to go talk to Rick and Sarah and Craig, who've never done any of it, can't give you any advice besides, go do B2B sales. Great. How long did it take you? 3.5 years. Where'd you start at? $62,000. Just so you guys know, he makes way more than $62,000. So the reason I'm just sitting here telling you, it doesn't make sense to go. And then that's why we do what we do in our program is don't listen to people who aren't where you want to be. Right. Yep. So the reason I'm just sitting here and telling you that is I don't listen to people that are like, tell me, Jacob, you need to go do this. And they're not even where I want to be in the position. So, okay, so you're telling me this, great. And then now I have to even audit that even more to be like, who are they giving me advice on how they got to that position? Did they do exactly what I'm doing? No. So because again, let me just make this life easy so everyone can hear it. I want you to go climb a tall mountain. Great. You're taking advice from a guy who summited and he's been to the summit 10 times. The one thing he just didn't tell you that his uncle's a pilot and that he flew the plane 10 times to the top. But you have a backpack and you got to walk up the dang thing. That's the kind of the advice when you're having someone being like, yeah, well, my best friend just knew a friend that knew somebody that they looked for a job and just got me a job. Great. What was your background? Oh, I don't know. Okay. Is that the same as me? No, it's not. So how does this align with me? Oh, it doesn't. So now you're giving me basically worthless advice besides, hey, go do B2B sales experience, which just so you guys know, any moment you do that, you sign on to do that for at least 1 to 2 years. You are now having to go crush it because you are now in the minor leagues in the sales world is what they look at it. And again, this isn't me saying it. This is if you go talk to the med device sales space and they look at ADP and these B2B as minor leagues and they look at med device sales as the pro or the big leagues. And do you ever see a minor leaguer who's not a stud get pulled up to the pros? No. So if you aren't at ADP Enterprise doing it and absolutely crushing, I mean, President Club winner, all the stuff, It's going to be a hard sell to be like, hey, so you're in the minor leagues and you ain't even crushing it. Now you want to come to the big leagues and you're going to tell me you're going to crush it? That's why we tell you guys it's way easier to take someone who is in prison ministry and get them hired in med device sales than have you go do a B2B sales job to then have to go sign on for 12 to 24 months, still never make your $100,000 that you want to. And then if you didn't crush it in there because you might go in and have a horrible territory, even if you're doing right things, you just delayed yourself 2 years and you don't even have the resume that they need. Because guess what? We still work with those people from ADP, Enterprise, Cintas, all of them. You can go into our testimonials and see it, right? And they performed. So that's what I just wanted to put out there, man. But I truly do appreciate that because you are 100%. You have to know your why.
I want to add a few more things to what my advice would be. One, know what you would like to ask them and be organized. They're busy. I know you gave me that advice 1,000 times. You talk about it on your podcast, on YouTube, on your course content. What I started doing was and you had to kind of course correct me on this a few times where my initial LinkedIn messages were like that. Yep. Hey, here's my whole life story. And you were like, okay, you see those 9 sentences? Delete them all. And I was like, okay. And so then I narrowed it down. And then I started saying, hey, I've talked to so-and-so, and they speak very highly of you. I would like 10 minutes of your time to ask you about X, Y, Z. And then I can hit those 3 things. And if the conversation's there, it's connecting, we can go to other things. But they automatically know from the outset, he respects my time.
Yep.
And he came in here, he's concise, he's organized, he has the soft skills to be personable and respectful. So be organized, be squared away. That's a given. And then on top of that, follow up. I mean, if you have to be told to follow up, like more, you shouldn't even be told. I mean, it should be a given, but if you have to be told multiple times, it's not going to happen for you. And that might seem harsh, but like, I want you to be in this industry. I've been in for 3 weeks. I freaking love it. Yeah. I love it. It's everything I hoped for. And I want so many more people to experience this. But there is a template. It's not a formula, but there's a template that you need to follow. And it's follow up is like shining bright letters saying you need to follow up, so that's a given. On top of that, just get busy. Get busy. When you're tired, work. When you don't want to follow up, study. I mean, one more piece of encouragement, and then we can move on. I don't want to sound ignorant and I don't want to sound cocky. So I hope that you'll see my heart in this, audience. I hope that you'll see my heart in this. The hardest part is breaking in. It requires a different kind of skill to do the job. You need to do the job to get the job. But I've only been here for less than a month. And I'm not going to name names on companies. I have met some of the most underwhelming reps I could have ever thought were in this space. To where I'm like, you've been selling medical device for 15 years. It's crazy. So if you look in the mirror and you're like, I just don't know if I have what it takes. I'm telling you, you can do it. Do it. Now there are some killers out there. There are some studs out there. And so like, it's not a cakewalk, but there are people that are already in this job that you're fighting against in competition. If you're hungry, you can do it. I'm telling you.
Let's just do this real quick because I always love this and I've heard it. It's not just in med device sales, it's in life. But let me just put this out there. There is someone who's less educated, who's less motivated, who's not as skilled as you making way more money in your dream job right now.
That's a fact.
The reason I say that to you all is why do you think I'm very selective of who we take? I'm not just trying to take anybody because guess what? Jacob, how have you been able to have so much success in such a small amount of time and then have reps come and trash me because they've been in for 15 years and I accomplished more in 4 years than they did in 15 because I didn't want to be average. I didn't want to have to do what they have to do. And guess what? I didn't want to have to be the average rep who's been in for 6 years, makes under $150,000, still complaining about how much money they make. Now they were silly gooses, made $150K, went and got a $150,000 lifestyle. Now they're 6, 7, 8, 9 years in med device sales, still barely making ends meet because they raised their lifestyle up and now they're doing a job that they don't want to always do which then performs in their work. And now they don't make any more money because they're in this miserable cycle compared to, guess what? Lived underneath my means, came in, was super hungry, made good money, and lived way underneath my means. And I never had to do anything. I got to do it. And I was excited to do it. And guess why? I was a top performer every place I needed because I didn't actually need the money, but it was the opportunity to go make the money.
Yep.
And the opportunity to get better that made me the best when I would do it. And that's what changes everybody. And that's a talk. If you are hearing this and you don't get it, you'll never get it because it's just over your head. But I'll sit here and tell you that's why I'm so selective and we're so selective at Newton Medical Device Sales of who we take and who we even work with. Because just so you guys know, give me some money. I don't need your money. We don't need to have a talk because I don't want to deal with miserable people who don't want to be the best of the best. Because guess what? Then you'll be like the Stryker rep at 17 years coming in, and the best thing you have to do at LinkedIn at 2:00 in the afternoon is go talk trash to somebody who just made their dreams happen. I ain't trying to associate with people like that. And so the reason I'm just sitting here telling you guys, you can do it. And exactly what Nathan said. Why do I get so excited for you guys on this podcast? Why do I know that I'm going to take people in and I'm going to make them absolute studs and killers? I was in med device sales. I sold against those people. I saw what it actually looks like. I then went and sold to those companies and saw the people in the high ups. And I'm like, good God, if that person's there, we got some things that people can accomplish. Understand, the thing holding you back is you. The holding you back is your fear of what other people say. But if you just understood there is somebody way less skilled, way less motivated, making way more money than you in your dream job because you're scared. If that don't get you going, I don't know what will. Because I'll sit here and tell you, I remember, and I said this actually this week, I remember having a conversation when I found out about med device sales and they told me there was a 25-year-old and I was 25 making $200,000. And I talked to that person on the phone and I was like, I'm way smarter than them. I'm way more driven than them. I'm way, again, egotistical because we're in sales. I was like, I believe I'm better than them and I could go into that position and crush them in it.
Yep.
But you want to know what I had to have the realization in that moment? They're actually way smarter than me because they're the ones actually already in the position making the money. And I'm the one here making $50,000, making no money. And I'm talking trash about them saying I could kick their butts. But guess what? I couldn't because I wasn't even in the industry and they were that much smarter and already ahead of me with 2 years and making 200 plus.
But you need to be that hungry guy.
Bam.
And I've always loved that about you. And I think that culture starts from the top. And anybody that's in your course or that has consumed your content knows, like, you need to be a lion. I mean, seriously, that sounds cliche. I get it. But like, seriously, that's the same mentality that I had was, you put me one-on-one with somebody, I'll crush you.
Come on.
I'll crush you. Because when you're asleep at 10, I'll be up at 12.
Yep.
When you're up at 7, I'll be up at 5:30. And I'll be researching. I'll be studying. And look, the thing is, you need to convey that humbly.
Yep.
You can't be a shotgun blast of like cockiness. Nobody.
I'm the best person that's ever lived. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah, bye. Go call someone else. But if you can almost humble brag in a way that conveys confidence and also humility, use discernment. That is one of the main things that connected me with my current manager.
Yep.
My current supervisor. He was like, you're very confident and you're very humble and you're easy to talk with and work with.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm like, man, sweet.
You're well spoken. And let me just tell you guys, let me just tell you where this comes from. Cause like I play for our team. There's two things I want to tell you guys real quick is number one, I just always remember right after putting a family member in the mental hospital, being broke as heck, being in college, crying in the gym at 11:30 p.m. And I remember a quote coming on, and it was E.T., the preacher hip hop. If you guys don't know him, hip hop preacher, if you guys don't know him, look him up. And he has a 7-minute story. And the story is about when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I don't think people really understand that. Is going back to, you guys, if you don't have money, once you get the money does nothing. Like it's a tool. The reason I'm sitting here telling you this is I play with our team every week, Ambition by Wales. Now, we don't go into the literal lyrics of all that and all the stuff, but what the ambition is take away the money. I'll still be here. Guys, I made more money in a month in med device sales than I used to make in a year. And the next morning, I still woke up at 4 a.m. I still went and worked a 12-hour day because it was never just about the money. Even now, having my own businesses and doing my stuff, I work more now than I did 3 years ago because it was never about that. It was when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And taking it to another step, I play this with our team, and this is the standard here at New to Medical Device Sales. And just so you guys know, if you are the students that come in here, we expect to get you to this person. You might not be there when you first get with us, but you will be that person when you leave. Hence how we get people hired at 6 figures with no experience coming into med device sales. There's a quote by Nick Saban, Alabama coach. You can feel how you want to feel about that. But he talks about, he got an interview, and I share it with our team all the time. And he got interviewed, and they're like, why are you so tough on your team or tough on your players? And he looked at him and he said, I don't believe that's fair to say that I'm tough on my players. We all have a goal. And if you have a goal that everyone's going to, if you're not on the same path, you won't achieve the goal. Everybody has to be on the same mission to be able to achieve it. And just understand, mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people.
That'll preach.
That's the reason I want you to hear me. Every person I work with at New to Medical Device House, whether I take you into my program or not, or they work for us, the goal is up here and the standard is always up here and it will always be there. And if you drop down there, we're going to help you as much as we can to get back up there. But at some point, sometimes we got to just say it's not a good fit. Why? Because mediocre people will never get it. They'll never understand it, and we're not here to try to make you understand it, because I'll sit here and tell you guys the last thing to finish this day off, to get you all pumped and ready to go run through a wall, which I get so many messages about, and it's the best because I make myself almost sometimes want to run through a wall, is the reason is because I've learned it's way harder to take someone from mediocre that doesn't want it to go to get successful because they'll never do it because they didn't want it in the first place than there is to take someone who's below mediocre, but they're hungry as heck. And I can take them to excellence real fast. And that's where I just sit here and tell you, bring it to sales, my friends. It's way easier to take a maybe to a yes than a no to a yes. Stop wasting all your times. Even if you guys are reaching out to people, if they ain't getting back to you, if they're not a regional manager, stop reaching out to them. TM, you reached out to them 3 times, they haven't got back to you, they don't want to talk to you. And a lot of times the TM's just going to tell you you stink anyway, right? The reason I'm just sitting here telling you, get around people you want to be like. Get around people that have done what you want to do and show the proof of doing it, but want you to go. Because I'll sit here to finish this off, is my program and New to Medical Device Sales is so much more than just helping you guys break into med device sales. It is helping you guys get prepped to go crush it in med device sales, but also in your life. And what do you want to do? Because just so you all know, the talk we just had right before this is giving Nathan a game plan on how he can come into this industry, absolutely crush it, take those finances and make it even bigger so he can keep expanding his family, his life, his wealth, and his legacy. Yep. And that's what's absolutely possible. But you know what it's not? If you keep hanging out with a bunch of people that don't believe it. Like we've said from day one, eagles don't fly with pigeons. And guess what? We ain't going to try to tell the pigeons why we're eagles, right? The reason I'm just sitting here and telling you, let the results speak for themselves. And the thing is at some point, if you want to be able to soar, you got to jump from the nest, spread your little wings. You'll probably drop a couple feet in elevation, but eventually you might start flying. And that's what I want you guys to hear. Take my little references of birds and everything and do what you want with them. But I want you guys to know is every single day I get on calls with people who decide to stay poor. They make under 40K, they make under 50K, they make under 70K, and they are too scared to make a jump. And they're in the exact same position that Nathan was. They're in the exact same position that all the people you see were. The only difference is Nathan was willing to sell his truck and finally commit to being where he wants to be. And look at from 1 year where he's at. Look at what happened in 10 weeks to where he's at. And what I can sit here and tell you, look what Harry's going to be in 1 year. And it's going to be freaking sweet. And why? Because he finally jumped. He finally believed in himself and he finally was fully committed to making the life that he wants for him and his wife and his future family was willing to make it happen. So, man, I just want you to know I appreciate you. I want to put if there's any last thoughts that you want out there, but I just always love to have great human beings, and you're a great human being. It's been an absolute pleasure to first off get to know you better and to watch the man that you've become inside this program. It's so humbling for myself to watch you people become even better than when you came in. Because you're an awesome dude and now awesome husband. You're gonna be an awesome father and just where it all goes. But I just want you to know it's been a pleasure having you on this podcast, but it's a pleasure having you in a program. And I'm so thankful to have you as a friend now, and know that you're absolutely going to crush it in medical device sales.
Thanks so much, brother. I really appreciate you. I appreciate the mentoring. I appreciate the friendship. I appreciate the honest feedback throughout the process. I appreciate the encouragement. I appreciate the late night phone calls just to say that I've got this, and just to speak life into me and always point me back to Christ. I appreciate your spirit and your heart for helping people. And just to reiterate, or to restate what you already said, this is so much more than med device. Med device is the vehicle. This is about life. This is about freedom. This is about legacy. This is about family. This is about giving. This is about blessing people. And if anybody has doubts, I had doubts too. I'm a very confident person, but I had doubts too. I didn't know what was going to be on the other side of this journey, but jump, do it, commit. I don't know if you pray, but pray. There's a strength that comes from that is not found in this world, and keep grinding, provide value to people in their conversations. And thanks for listening to my story, man. Thanks for having me.
So proud of you. Congratulations, Nathan, on breaking into medical device sales as a full line rep, and know you're going to absolutely crush it. And everybody, if you can press that like and subscribe button, a 5-star review helps us grow this channel. If you believe this could help somebody, if you can share that with them. And you all, if you'd like to just learn more about what we do, you can always check out the link below. But more encouragingly, if you're watching this on podcast or listening to this on a podcast, or you're watching this on YouTube, just go and listen to more. Just go see more, because it's all about just providing value and just showing you guys we just do what we do. Because I just want you all to know, because we are starting to have conversations with our very exciting that we will be sharing about contracts and things here in the future that I'm not going to go into too much detail about now. I will just sit here and tell you we are extremely selective. And if it is something that you want to do and you want to change your life, we're happy to help. But I just want you to know that we put all the stuff out there for free so you guys can see it. Just so you guys know, again, you go to our website and you see the testimonials, just understand we put hundreds of them out there, and you guys have never spent a moment liking so much. You took a video, sent to that person, told them how much you liked it. We have hundreds. You guys haven't ever been on a podcast saying about how much you like something. We have hundreds. It's just we keep showing you all the proof so you guys can just make a decision, make sure it's a right fit for you, to see if we even want to accept you and if it's a right fit for us. So we know we can help you, but I just want you guys to say thank you for listening. Keep going through the content. We have so much more. If you're on podcast or YouTube, just keep staying on. Go through our playlist and you'll see a lot more. See the day in the life of a med device rep, so you can see what it was like inside the industry as not only trying to break in, but as a rep, and then even as a manager, and even now to how we're helping people. So thank you so much. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.